Episode 6.
Man, we are trucking along.
We just got 7, so we're like at that 6, 7.
Penultimate
Episode. Right. If you're reading in this tactics book or listening, that's what I did. I bought the book, but I mainly listened to it. And then I consult the book every now and then.
That's kind of the best combo because you can like highlight something in the book. Or if you're like, oh man, that was really good, I want to pull that out. It's easier to go back and look at the book. But if you're just trying to make your way through something, audiobook is
that'll almost guarantee you'll get through. You can get through it. We're going to cover chapters 14, 15, and 16. Really, the idea with this episode is avoiding conversational pitfalls. You might get these conversations and the heat kind of turns up a bit. Just, staying wise under a little bit of pressure. Because we know the tactics at this point.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like, how do we communicate it? You can get rattled. I think we've all kind of been there. Like, we've got a good game plan, but you're like, whoa, I was not expecting this. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And so with that in mind, let's go ahead, take it to the next level.
Let's fire up that twangy music.
From the hearts of the Low Country in South Carolina,
it's the Take Two podcast, where we take theology to the next level.
Michael, have you ever tried to drink from a fire hose?
When I was 5, no.
It's like one of these common sayings you get into a new job or like promoted or something. Like, if you're drinking from a fire hose, don't worry. It'll get better. What they're not saying is that, oh, this water is like impure, it's bad, it's going to make you sick. There's just a lot of it.
Just too much.
It's overwhelming. And I can resonate with this. Like, apologetics to me can feel this way where you're like, there's like so many different things. I feel like I put in time and I've studied and I've read books, but you can like go down a rabbit hole or someone can throw something unexpected. Even when things are like going through what you've envisioned, you can just be thrown off a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think what this part of Koukl's book does is he talks about like common people you might run into, saying, hey, this is a good tactic in the midst of maybe some troublesome people you're communicating with or troublesome things they bring up that could kind of stop you in your tracks if you're not prepared.
Yeah, I think that's great because there are certainly different conversational, I hate to reuse the word tactics, but that you might see being employed and being able to recognize, Steamroller, Rhodes Scholar, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you, okay, I know what the problem is here, and it gives you some ways of addressing it so that you're not caught flat-footed. You have a way of doing it in a polite way, and it helps you just maneuver through the conversation.
That's right. And it's like so in step with everything else he said. Like you're gracious with it, polite, like you said, but you're like getting after it. Let's start with some scriptural foundations. Probably some common verses you've heard before, but James 1, 19 through 20, have you ever heard that verse before, or those two verses before? Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Great apologetics verse, we should talk about that as being apologetic a verse more often than we do.
Verses for fathers too. This is where I get so upset with myself, is because sometimes I can just get too energized. The passion.
Yeah.
What I like to say, I like, it's nice if you call it passion.
That's right. That's right. I care too much.
Yeah, that's right.
But good to keep in mind as you're just like taking it in. You can like think, identify what's going on, and address it appropriately. Proverbs 25:11 says, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver.
This was one of Jill's favorite verses as a young kid. So.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Nice.
She's very far behind on the podcast, so we'll probably hear her respond
Let's
to this.
take some over under by like Thanksgiving. We'll
maybe next summer. Because what she used to do, she would listen to these, I think, while she walks. She has been walking as much because of a foot issue. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So she's behind.
Yeah,
she's behind on listening to it. So yeah.
That's okay, Jill. We won't hold it against you. Colossians 4, 5 through 6 really talks about speaking graciously. It's like, I hope as we're going through these episodes, that's one of the things, because again, apologetics, debating, gets a bad rap, for some of these themes. But you mentioned it. Let's talk about the steamroller.
Steamroller.
What's a steamroller?
Well, you've probably been in a conversation with one at some point in time, but kind of opposite of that verse we read to begin with, like, slow to speak, you want to listen, slow to anger. These people just talk, and they don't ever give you a chance to get a word in edgewise. You start trying to maybe even answer one of their questions, and they just kind of like a steamroller. They just want to flatten everything out in front of them.
And it can be effective if they're like presumably delivering blow after blow after blow, and you might be like, okay, they said something 2 minutes ago, but they most recently said this. Like, you're trying to think like what, and then you can kind of look like you don't know what you're doing, and they can be like, well, what's your answer for that? Or even if they don't have necessarily slam dunk arguments, if they're trying to hit you with thing after thing after thing, it can kind of add up a little bit.
Yeah, it can. I think that what you're describing is sometimes it's used for rhetoric to look like you're just. And I think some people just don't even realize that they're not necessarily trying to. They're just this is how they're just talking. They're just 100% all out there. But in either way, both of them are kind of abusing the conversation.
Yeah,
so you want to politely address it.
You're not communicating or working. You're just trying to, like you're saying, rhetoric. You're proving a point. Like, you're trying to make a show of this. And I think it's probably worth mentioning is like, this is a two-way street. Like, you could be the steamroller, like in the conversation, not know it. Like, it's good to be self-aware.
Yes. My mom, I think it was James Dobson, but I don't know who it was, but they were listening to someone talk about conversations and marriage, and they said, think about a tennis game. Like, you can't just be the one that hits the ball over and over again. You have to hit the ball, and then you pause, and that other person hits the ball back to you.
That's right. That's good.
You pause. And so the only way a tennis game works is if we're both taking time to let the other person hit the ball. Now, we wouldn't use that example today. We'd say pickleball instead of tennis, but the same thing applies. That you got to go back and forth. And so that's the main thing that's missing with the steamroller, and you got to figure out a way, how can I address this in a way that's, because you don't want to become a steamroller. You don't want to lose your cool, but you do want to bring attention to the fact that you're not getting a chance to hit the ball in this conversation. Yep,
I think you nailed it. And if you find yourself being the steamroller, it's like, just have that awareness. Ask one question. Let's like move towards understanding. Even if you don't agree, you're kind of developing the conversation. If it happens to you, I think Koukl wisely, says you should address this. Like, don't just try to like go with the flow. You should stop them, make a polite request. Starting off mild. If it keeps happening, he says like you should shame them. Be like, hey, I've kind of asked you to not do this, and it seems like you're doing this. You're not showing me courtesy. I'm trying to show you courtesy. Can we have a conversation? And if there's like people around, like, that's probably going to do it. And if there's not people around, like, what are we doing anyway?
Right.
And then lastly, this is good advice. Like, just leave. Like, hey, I've tried to stop you. I've said you're not being courteous, but we're just doing this. I don't feel like this is a productive conversation. We're just probably best to leave it. And that honestly makes you look like the good guy there.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to argue. Don't want to get mad. And so stop it, shame it, leave it. Those are the 3 steps. And you're polite the whole time.
And that's right. You're like, that's such a good look, and that's like good spirit. And if you engage in that, it's like, even if you might have, you're going to steamroll back, it's like no one's going to learn anything from that, right?
One thing that he has mentioned is this may happen with someone you know, it may happen with someone you don't know, but if you ask them their name, and sometimes using someone's name can help, whatever it is, Jason, hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Pause a little bit. This is what's happening. You're saying this. I've tried to answer that question. In the middle of answering that question, you interrupt me.
Yeah.
I want to give you the space to talk, and I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to receive it. But then I'm going to ask you to give me the same politeness. So that would be maybe the first time.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the second time you'd be like, okay, Jason, we just went over this. You agreed that you would give me this space to talk, and now you just see that you didn't do that. And so I'd like a chance to address this topic, and then if that doesn't work,
you're not going to win this.
Adios. Sayonara.
Anyway, and that's good. And you do look like, because you are being the person that wants to communicate, like that tennis match, like you're saying. So the Steamroller, this is like what you see on Fox News, or it's like, someone's like, you got 1 minute to say all your points. Like, that's why that medium's probably not a good medium to actually learn something. The Rhodes Scholar, this one I think we see a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets disguised in Christian circles as the early church fathers.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, honestly, that's really great. When we're thinking of the Rhodes Scholar, we're thinking of the person who relies on credentials, expertise. Basically, it could be intellectual intimidation. Christians do this a lot, like you're saying, like, oh, the church fathers, or, if I'm making a point, I might say, well, Greg Koukl says this, or like you might try to appeal, or I've got my master's in this, or I've got, instead of talking about,
or you might say, Take Two said this.
That's right. On the other side of it, what you hear a lot is like, science says this, or, real scholars, this is what they believe. Or every major scholar in philosophy has thought this. They really try to belittle your argument without actually engaging with the argument. And it's probably, we're talking about like, it's good to cite sources. That is positive. We're not saying don't do that.
Right.
We're just saying don't arbitrarily just like shut down a conversation by just saying a name or a credential.
Right. Authority alone does not determine the answer. So it's the reason why that authority says what they say. So if every single scientist says something, it's probably a good indication that there's something worth considering there. But even if that were the case, you still want to know the reasons why they say what they say.
That's great. And you could have people that believe things for a little bit different reasons. And just about in every field, experts at some level do disagree.
Right. Same with the early church fathers.
That's a good point.
You can almost always find an early church father that agrees with your position. And some of them were called heretics. So,
and it's like what I think you saw a lot, like during COVID in particular, is someone would be like, "Well, I'm a physician, so trust me." And I think with that, there's a lot of training to be respected, but it is different if someone's like, "Actually, I'm an orthopedic physician." They might be an expert in medical field, but it might not be their field. Or apologetics, you might be like the best in one certain area, and you probably know more than the average person in every area, but it doesn't mean this other, you know what I'm saying? Like, where you do want to get to the substance of the arguments, and you should respect credentials and these kind of things, but a lot of times, I have a master's in something, so I can talk about everything. You know what I mean? My PhD wasn't on this. It was very hyper-specific. Maybe you are the expert in that hyper-specific thing.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Good points. Because experts, they can be experts in one field and not another. This is one I saw recently on social media. Bart Ehrman criticized Wes Huff. If you're familiar with Wes Huff, who's really like started doing, he's really picked up steam in the last couple of years.
He's kind of exploded after his couple of big podcasts. He's with Joe Rogan, and was he also on Diary of a CEO?
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think you're right.
Yeah. But he also had that debate against that other guy.
Yes.
And just called him out. And that was what really kind of lit the fire. And then he got picked up, I think, by Joe Rogan first, and then Diary of a CEO, if I've got my history right.
I am trying to find the tweet. There was a tweet that Bart Ehrman did. And I can't pull it up, but basically it was this. It was like, he was getting a lot of traction, but he's not a respected scholar in this field, so we can't really, when it comes to textual criticism, like, I wouldn't trust what he says yet. Like, he's getting there, but it's like not talking about his arguments. Just like, he doesn't have he's only been in the field for a few years. It
almost comes off as an ad hominem. Like, I'm just going to attack him, his credentials, not necessarily the arguments he's making.
Exactly. And so that is a red flag if someone just falls back on credentials and nothing more. Again, credentials are good, but don't do that. And a good biblical example, we've talked about them before, Acts 17, the Bereans didn't reject Paul. It wasn't like Paul's credentials, we're not going to check out what he's saying. He was an apostle after all. They examined the scripture. Truth is truth. We're going to, get after it. Steamroller, Rhodes Scholar.
Do you know the theme song for this next one?
Just the facts, man. No, I wrote in my notes, Apparently, Joe Friday said this. I don't know who he is, though. But I've heard of Joe Friday. I just don't. Is that Dragnet?
It's Dragnet.
Okay, yeah.
I used to watch this on not Nintendo, Nickelodeon.
Like,
early in the morning, they would run like these old shows like Get Smart, Dragnet,
Nice.
Mr. Wizard's World.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of Dragnet. The other ones, I don't. Well, since you're the big Joe Friday guy, what is Just the Facts Man?
So Joe Friday was just this down to earth cop. He always was drinking coffee. He always had that 5 o'clock shadow in his little notebook, and he'd be taking information, and they'd start going off on stuff. He'd just the facts, man. All this other stuff is nice to know, but I just want to know the facts of this case.
Oh, that's really good. What I like, and Koukl does this a lot, is he gives really good examples. What you're going to find, just like with any other subject, a lot of objections and challenges to Christianity are based just on bad information. That maybe it's picked up in pop culture, you see it, you just repeat it, but it's factually not correct. And you can overcome these by a simple appeal to the facts. Part of what can make this challenging is that it's good to know the facts to spot this. But sometimes you can smell something's off. Even if you don't know, it's not a bad thing to be like, hey, can you tell me more about this? A lot of times they can't, but sometimes you can, expose. And if you've heard some of these over and over again, you'll get more familiar with some of the more common ones. I was going to say, I mentioned this guy and maybe even this scenario before in our podcast, but we've been podcasting for a couple of years now. Yeah.
So mention him again. I don't work with anymore, but I worked with a guy who left LDS Mormonism.
Oh yeah.
And man, I think that religion, for people who finally realize that it's false, it can do so much damage to the person that they're very cynical of anything else. But we were talking about religion one day, and he was like, well, yeah, the New Testament was based off all these old Greek myths and these Greek mythologies and, all these dying and rising saviors. And I said to him, his name is Don, but I was like, Don, you are a smart guy. I challenge you to go actually look this up on the internet, do some research. What you've read in whatever form or that Zeitgeist video that went around is false. And he kind of looked at me like I had just hit him with a jab or something. He was a little bit shaky. He's like, okay, I'll go do that. I mean, it was probably 3 days later, and he was like, thank you for doing that. I will stop saying that because I went and looked. To his credit, he's like, that's a bunch of, didn't mean he became a Christian, but he stopped because it was just the facts. The facts do not support that, the idea that Jesus was all just, this resurrected Greek mythology. Yeah,
that's such a good point. It's if you can get someone to research and see that for themselves, I think that is so powerful. Some of the ones that Koukl brings up are all of America's founding fathers were deists. That's something you hear all the time. And he I was trying to
53 of 55.
Yeah, he
right?
says he says 51
of 55.
Of the 55 members, virtually 93% were not deist, and actually probably what you would call a fundamentalist,
right?
By inerrancy of Scripture and these kind of things. It's not like a mainline Presbyterian or something like that. And so when you actually dive in, you're like, wow. And even if you're a Christian, you might be like, I believe in Christianity, but they were deists. It's actually there were some deists, but the overwhelming majority were not. And you look at the constitutions for all these states, it's most of these you have to be in the church to vote and do these or run for office. It's what kind of crazy standards you might not be aware of.
That sounds Yep.
The other one he brought up I thought was so good is about abortion in California, and it's basically murder. Homicide is murder is defined this way: crimes against the person, 187. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being or a fetus with malice aforethought. And then after the definition, you find many exceptions. One of the exceptions says, this section shall not apply to any person who commits an act which results in the death of a fetus if the act was solicited, aided, abetted, or consented to by the mother of the fetus. And so what constitutes murder is consent. is essentially like what you get from
Consent of the mother
that. Consent of the mother.
and not the father.
Of not the father.
Father has no. And this is like I wouldn't necessarily argue this way, but there are people who are like, well, can a father just not pay child support? Like, no, that's his child. He can't. Yeah, but well, women can walk away by killing their kids, and you're not going to let a dad walk away by just not paying. Like, something's not right in this equation. And of course, you and I would both say, life is precious. You shouldn't be having kids out of wedlock. And so yes, father should step up to the plate and not only pay for the kids, but be there to father them. But it just shows this idea that on a whim, we're going to be fine with murder as long as the mom's fine with it.
It's weird because in any other type of murder, if you just like ask someone like, are you okay with that? That doesn't make it not murder. It's just like strange that almost in every other part of walk of life, you'd be like, that would be weird. Like I can murder someone as long as like Johnny's mom says it's okay. I can take out Johnny. So, looking at, he's got example after example. Like some of them are, religion's responsible for the most wars and all of these things. Like let's look at some of this stuff. And anyway, these are just maybe 3 big time tactics people will throw at you. They're going to steamroll over you, try to overwhelm you. Rhodes Scholars, like I went to school, I've got the credentials, I'm the expert. Listen to me. Just the facts is like, hey, I've heard this. It sounds really good. And if it's true, really strong argument. But a lot of times these aren't true. And really being able to navigate some of this with those tactics, those Columbo questions and those other tactics together really equips you to have a productive conversation where you can, poke little holes, put a pebble in their shoe, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
Jesus, all of these have such good examples. This is mirrors a lot how Jesus interacted. He asked these questions. He listened, gave different approaches to different people. And I thought in the little bit of time we have left, I'm looking ahead to the next one. Next one, I kind of want to do like a conversation where we like go top to bottom kind of thing.
Okay, good.
And like throw things on. That won't be today. That'll be next time. Something else we've mentioned is you go into conversations this week, maybe look for these things, or when you're watching TV or when you're like hearing other people, like look for the Steamroller, the Rhodes Scholar, because I bet you'll pick up on some of that stuff just in everyday like conversation. Just being aware, perceive this kind of thing will be helpful.
I think that's great. And if you're aware of the things, even if maybe even a news report, 97% of scientists say blah 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 blah, whatever it happens to be. That's good, and that is a data point. But again, you want to pull back the layers of the onion. Why do they say that? What makes sense? And some, especially with news, are they even accurately reporting what the scientists even say? Because it's very frustrating when sometimes you look at the report that they are referencing and like, this is not what the report says.
It is weird. You can take studies and you like run with it, and you're like, so misrepresented. It is wild and just insane. What a time to be alive. What a world. We have like so much information, so much access to it, easy to fact check, but it's also very challenging, it seems. You know what I mean? And there's always like a different angle or nuance or something like that. But with that, you want to go to the final take?
Let's go.
I was going to say, hey, anniversary was last week.
It was, yeah.
Turned out pretty good.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, great.
We plan to do more. It's just this is a crazy time of year.
Yeah.
So maybe mid-October, we'll maybe go on like a 1 or 2 day trip someplace. We haven't determined where. I make some suggestions, and Jill's like, well, we'll see. But yeah. Okay, we went to this place called Wild Olive on John's Island.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. Could not afford it if we tried to take all 7 of us there.
Yeah.
But
that's probably
when it's just the 2 of us, it's like, man, this is cheaper than the 7 of us at another restaurant. But it was really good. I had lamb, and it was like lamb shank on this. I think it was very, very creamy grits, but it almost had like a mashed potato flavor. Maybe it was. I don't know what it was.
When food gets that fancy, it's hard to tell. You know what I mean?
It was so good. And Jill had this chicken marinara.
Okay, yeah.
And it was really good. So, highly recommend. And then we went on to Pitt Street Bridge. Have you ever been there?
I have. Yeah.
Just beautiful. We took some pictures there, and I was like, one of the settings, it almost looked like that Windows screensaver or the windows.
Oh,
back,
yeah, like that classic one.
Yeah, the classic one with the blue and the green
Yeah.
stuff. So I took some of those pictures. This is nice.
There you go. I love it. Anniversary. How many years in the books?
25, quarter of a
Ooh.
century.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a milestone.
Yeah. Back in 2001, got married in August. Went on our honeymoon. Came here. We were here maybe for a couple weeks. Then 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
You were still in high school, weren't you?
Yeah. 2001, I was, as of 9/11, my birthday was after that. It was 10 going on 11. So there you go.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. So I got to figure out my life. My anniversary is 1 week after your anniversary, or close to it. I got tomorrow. So trying to figure. Nothing says romance like open house at Northwood.
Yeah. It's very tough because I coached football for 5 years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like never in a million years, if you knew, my background, would I've ever thought. Not that it just was not on my radar that someday, Michael, you're going to be coaching football.
Yeah.
But I was asked and it was agreed to do that, and it was a good season in my life. But August 4th is not great for an anniversary if you're a football coach, because it's like right in the thick of things. Like you've had maybe a month of preseason, and now you're like looking in a week. We're about to have our first game, and it's like it was hardly ever a time to do anything.
That's like really busy.
Yeah.
I went to a wedding this past weekend.
How was that?
It was great.
Did they sing Easy Street?
Yeah. Honestly, they just did a lot of Annie stuff.
Yeah.
They did the unity candle lighting thing.
Nice.
It was great. A little wobbly on the candle.
Oh, did it fall down?
It did not fall down, but they did a great job recovering.
Good.
Which is good because you know.
Music theater gives you that poise under pressure, so I'm sure that they
And he had, I don't know a lot about Evan, Emily's now husband. Was he in the production too?
He was.
Okay, so I don't know. I met him.
Yeah.
I think he came on a Wednesday night like a couple times, like a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Like when they first started dating.
Okay, yeah. So the two Shamsters
Okay.
were Evan and Emily, Rooster and Lily in the play.
Oh, there
and so
you go.
Rooster is the brother of Mrs. Hannigan, who runs the orphanage. So they come up with this scheme to defraud Warbucks at $50,000 by pretending that they are Annie's parents.
Oh, okay.
And they are interested in each other. So it was good that they were fiancés.
That works out.
Yeah.
He had a group called, I think it's his group called the Marksmen.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like CSU thing
He didn't
or whatever.
invite me to sing with him, so
And so there's like 10 guys that like sang a couple specials,
Oh, nice.
during the wedding. I was like, that was pretty
I'm kind
cool.
of bummed I didn't get invited.
Yeah,
But
that's why I brought it up,
guess
just to
Warbucks,
cause some tension between you guys. Emily. But it was good. Great, glad to be able to go there. But yeah, that's what's going on in my life. Yeah.
Funny that you brought them up, because Phoebe and I were just talking about them today.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it was last night. And I was saying, they're friends of mine. I liked them. She's like, how can they be your friends? They're trying to steal Annie. And they
can't
tried to
separate.
trick you.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so it's hard, even in the first grader's mind, it's hard to separate the character from the actor. But I was trying to say, well, there's Evan and Emily, and they were playing, Rooster and Lily, just like I'm not Warbucks. I was playing Warbucks. So yeah, trying to.
Man, so good. Well, we'll wrap it up one more in this series, and then we are on to the next.
On to the next. Any hints as to what we're doing next?
Ooh, you might not see it coming if you get it. So we'll see. Leave you on that.
Saying it could be unseen.
It could be unseen.
Okay, all right.
That's right. Blast from the past. We'll maybe get into some unseen realm stuff.
Nice.
But anyway, with that, that's our take. Thanks for listening to Take Two. Find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube for those who want to watch our videocast.